you can't have racial justice without algorithmic justice, just as you can't have algorithmic justice without racial justice.
Hi, everyone. I am Elaine Welteroth, and I am so honored to be sharing this digital space with someone who I consider a real-life superhero, who's one of my girl crushes and someone who I can confidently say is always the smartest person in any room. Joy Buolamwini, thank you so much for being here today with all of us. It's so good to see you. I wish we were here in person, but this will do.
Yes, so good to see you as well. I'm a poet of code, telling stories that make daughters of diasporas dream and sons of privilege pause. And it's truly an honor to be with one of my girl crushes today as well. So could not be more thrilled that we get to have this conversation in this moment.
For those of you who don't know, I want to just big you up for a minute and tell them that I got to see you on the big screen at Sundance for the premiere of your film, Coded Bias, which was mind-blowing. And I think it's something everyone needs to see. So before we dive into our conversation, where can folks watching find Coded Bias and check you out?
Yes, so you should visit codedbias.com. You can request screenings there. And then on November 11, 2020, 11/11/2020, we are going to have the virtual theatrical release. So if you've been waiting to watch Coded Bias in the US, the wait is almost over. So check out codedbias.com.
Amazing. All right, you guys heard that here first. 11/11/20. It goes down. Codedbias.com. Check out her work. It's incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey that led you to the work that you're doing today as a digital activist?
Yes, so I was a master's student at MIT Media Lab. I was so excited. I'm in the epicenter of innovation. I'm working on various projects. And for a class I took called Science Fabrication, you read science fiction and then you create something that would be too taboo or extravagant. And so I wanted to shapeshift my body. I thought it would be fun. So I started thinking of what would it look like to have like a virtual Snapchat filter. And so this required putting on a little webcam and getting some face tracking technology. This is where things start to go sideways. It didn't track my face that consistently until I literally put a white mask on my dark skin. And I mean, Fanon already said a black skin, white mask. I just didn't think it would be so literal. Sitting there in a white mask in the epicenter, coding in white face, at MIT, and really starting to think, wait, how are these systems, not just for tracking my face, right, but AI systems that are being trained on data and so forth, how are they being used in the real world? And it's one thing not to detect somebody's face. It's another thing if you misidentify them.
Most of us have a very basic understanding of AI. We think of it as something that can sort of power our smartphones and our smart technology, maybe in our homes, but it's much more ubiquitous than that, isn't it? And I mean, I want to hear you talk about how AI affects our daily lives and how it permeates our sort of work and our day-to-day functioning in ways we may not even be aware of.
Absolutely. And so when you talk about AI, it can mean many things. When I'm thinking about AI, I think about the ways in which we can help computers perceive the world. AI systems that are making judgments or discern, and so determining if you're going to be a good employee, if you're credit worthy or not, even who you see in a dating app as well. And so AI touches so many areas of our lives, determining if you get hired or fired, what kind of access to medical treatment you have. It's something that involves everybody. And you see it in education, you see it in healthcare, you see it in the workplace. So I have this term called failed machine learning, and machine learning is when we have AI systems learning from data, hence machine learning. Failed machine learning, failing freedom, money love. So when we talk about freedom, you can think about AI systems being used as carceral technology or in the criminal justice space. So that example of face recognition, somebody being misidentified. And so that's on the freedom side. On the money aspect, you have algorithms that are being used in hiring processes. There's a company called HireVue. They do video interviews of candidates, and they're scanning your face. They're analyzing your voice to see if you have cues of what a top employee looks like. And then when we're thinking about money, right, we're also thinking about educational opportunities. You just have the case in the UK where students were given automated grades, not based on their capacity, but based on their zip code. So there you get zipped out of opportunity when you have inequity zipped into the kinds of systems that are determining our future. So when I talk about failed machine learning, failing freedom, money, love, if you have any stake in having a job, if you have any stake in terms of love or interpersonal relationships, you have a place in this conversation.
Wow. Wow. I know everyone listening right now is having one of these moments. So can you talk about sort of the impact of exclusion on technology and how you personally work through that sort of deeply personal process of showing up as your authentic self, even when you're in spaces where there's no one else who looks like you?
Yes, as you know, some of us are one of one. We pioneer and we enter spaces that weren't necessarily created with us in mind. And I actually view my identity and my lived experience as an advantage. There's so many people who are in the computer vision world, but not so many people were bringing attention to these biases of facial analysis and recognition systems. And what we're showing about algorithmic bias impacts everybody. And yet also in a time when we're really focused on looking for racial justice, we must understand you can't have racial justice without algorithmic justice, just as you can't have algorithmic justice without racial justice.
In what ways can we all take responsibility for opening the door and bringing in more people of color, more Black women to the table, specifically in technology, in terms of the fields of technology?
Yes, absolutely. So I think about a few inclusion imperatives. So one, dare to ask. Ask who's missing. Ask whose voice is not in the room. If we're looking at AI and you ask who's missing, right, you're going to see that oftentimes it's the people who are most marginalized and most likely to be harmed. The other thing is to dare to listen. It's not just enough to bring people in, hear their piece, but then not implement what they're saying. And so we really have to ask ourselves, are we doing token participation? Because even if you bring in different faces, if you don't change the system, it's not going to make a long-term impact. I like to point out for my project with the mirror, I made that project, but how did I build it? Using existing libraries, right? The status quo. So if we don't shift the status quo, our ways of doing things, and we just populate it with new, more inclusive faces, we're not getting at the radical, the root, the systemic change that needs to happen.
Can I just give you a round of applause myself? Joy, you are a gem. It's such an honor. Anytime I get to see your face, and I'm so grateful that we could share space and have this conversation. I mean, we clearly have just barely scratched the surface of what is a very nuanced and complex, intersecting topic, but you have given us all so much to think about. And I just want to say thank you so much for your incredible work and for your commitment to making technology actually work for and also represent all of us. So thank you again, Joy.
We are recruiting agents. You can be superheroes too. So join the Algorithmic Justice League just at ajl.org. If you have a face, you have a place in the conversation. We have a voice and a choice, and we choose to live in a world with more equitable, accountable, and just AI systems.